Alright, welcome back to the review space. This is going to be another ListChallenges.com. This is going to be a top 100 PS3 games of all time. I'm going to give you guys my opinion. I already did the top 100 PS2 games maybe a couple of weeks ago. And I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to be uploading this. It takes me a really long time to edit these videos, especially these huge lists, and hopefully I don't spend too long finishing this particular vid, but this is another 100 list, 100 PS3 games from, well, it's from Metacritic. It says right here Metacritic, but I'm not entirely sure. It's added by Phil Mlb, gotta give him some credit. It has over 110,000 views, which is an enormous amount of views, obviously. But the average score of this list is only about 26%, so kind of similar to the PS2 list. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run down, basically, take a look at all these games in this top 100. They go all the way from 1, which is number 1 would be the highest ranked, and it goes all the way up to number 100. And I'm going to go down this list and give you my thoughts and my opinion based on my experiences with these games, the ones that I played anyway, and see how accurate or how good this list is as far as the top 100 PS3 games of all time. I already made my list of top 30 PlayStation 3 games, so if you guys want to check that out, that's my top 30 list. I already made that one, so go check that out right now. And this one is going to be the top 100 PS3 games of all time from Metacritic, but posted by ListChallenges.com. Okay, so here we go. It says, how many have you owned and played? And that's basically like the challenge aspect of this. It is called ListChallenges.com. And I think that's the challenge part, is that how many have you owned and played? How many have you actually experienced? And how many of these games do you actually own and have personally actually played and experienced for yourself? And hopefully I actually got to experience, most of the games on this list, and I have some sort of opinion regarding most of the games on this particular top 100 PS3 games. So, enough babbling. Here we go. Number one PS3 game is Grand Theft Auto 4. Oh my god. Okay. Well, I did enjoy Grand Theft Auto 4. I think it is an enjoyable game. A little overrated on this list. I can understand why it's number one, but just like with the PS2 games and the GTA games that came out on it, I believe GTA 3 was either number 1 or number 2 when I did list challenges for the PS2. So just like with this one, Grand Theft Auto 4 is somehow number 1 again on this list. I believe that they are citing the Metacritic scores, so as much as I like reading the Metacritic scores, I don't necessarily agree with every single one of them. I feel like they tend to overrate the GTA games way too high as far as the gameplay, because it is quite good games. It's the GTA 4 is a pretty solid game. It's just that there's a lot of glitches too and a lot of bugs, and it hasn't really aged well as far as graphics. And as far as gameplay, it's not like the best game of all time, at least not on the PS3 as far as gameplay. It's a good game. It's a fun game to play over the weekend, or if you have some spare time, you just want to basically spend a whole weekend enjoying a campaign that takes some length and some time to finish. Grand Theft Auto 4 is a good game. One of the things that I don't like about GTA 4 is the voice acting. I can't stand that Jamaican dude. He has a really annoying, horrible voice actor, and I really cannot understand what he's saying. He always da 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 the bomba clot sin, and it's like he's really irritating, and I couldn't stand it. Every time he would get into the car, and you'd have to have a mission with him, and then he starts rambling and talking in that really horribly forced Jamaican accent. And I forgot his voice actor. I'm assuming his voice actor is an actual Jamaican. I think he might have been a Jamaican artist or something like that, like a Jamaican a radio personality or some kind of singer. So he does seem like an authentic Jamaican individual with the accent and everything, but it's just, I find it really irritating in GTA 4. Every time I'd have I'd have a mission with him, I was like, oh god, not this again, like, this is irritating, because I could not understand what he was saying, and he had like a really annoying accent. Alright, it's still a good game though, like as far as the soundtrack, not as good as Vice City, not as good as previous games. The one thing that made GTA 4 really stand out is at the time, the HD graphics. So it was a more detailed, much more detailed environment and a much more detailed city than any of the older Grand Theft Auto games on the PS2 and the 6th generation. And so GTA 4 that was the novelty of it. That was the new, fresh feeling back in 2008. Was that okay? Now we got a Grand Theft Auto game on the new system, the PS3 and Xbox 360. Not saying it was brand new. The systems were brand new, but the current generation, I should say, the current gen of the 7th generation. Grand Theft Auto 4. Good game as far as gameplay wise, pretty basic, like very predictable what to expect from the Grand Theft Auto series, getting into a car, the third person shooter, crime themes, and a mature theme where you're basically running around and driving around the big city, shooting at people. And that's basically what it's mostly about, and driving a lot of vehicles from point A to point B to point C, and so on and so forth. So it's still a good game. I mean, I ranked it pretty good in my top 30 PS3 games of all time list, and so it is a solid experience, especially including the complete package with Ballad of Gay Tony and The Lost and Damned. I mean, that's the complete version, obviously. But just as a game itself, GTA 4 I would say it is a pretty good game, but I wouldn't even put it in in the top 3 or top 4. I mean, it's not even, they ranked it number 1 here on this list. And I completely disagree. It's a good game, but a little overrated, overranked here in ListChallenges.com. Coming in at number 2 is Grand Theft Auto V, Grand Theft Auto 5. This is the one that came out in 2013. I already gave my opinion about this many times over. I do think it is one of the more overrated games, and this is a perfect example of it. How it's number 2 in this list is just absolutely mind-blowing to me. A good game. A good, enjoyable, single-player experience. I believe I also included this in my top 30 PS3 games of all time. But I did not rank it that high, not as high as, top 2. The graphics are significantly better and more colorful than GTA 4. The environment, the setting, the whole city itself felt a little bit bigger than GTA 4, and there's a little bit more things that you can do and explore. I like GTA 5. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. I thought it was a decent enough game. It's just that it was more of the same thing. It was just like Grand Theft Auto 4, but with slightly better graphics and a slightly bigger environment, and this time in a more Los Angeles West Coast setting, with a whole three character gimmick that you can actually play. Between Grand Theft Auto 4 and GTA 5, I mean, I would pick GTA 4, including The Lost and the Damned and all that, because it was presented a little bit differently. There was like 3 interwoven storylines in there, and I did enjoy the New York City setting a little bit better than the Los Angeles setting. Coming in at number 3 is Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. Yeah, this one is my personal favorite out of the Uncharted series between 1, 2, and 3. Uncharted 2, a very good game. Very good single-player experience. It is number 3. I think number 3 is a little bit too high. I like the voice acting. I like the characters. I like the storyline, the setting, the stage, and all that. But I feel like as far as a single-player experience, it's good. It's not something that I would keep going back to over and over again. And I do feel it is a little bit too easy. And it's not as challenging as I hope it would be. But it's still a very good experience. And it's a worthy title as far as a PS3 exclusive. It's one of those games that make a PS3 worth checking out. So they did, obviously they put a lot of effort in this game. It's a good game. It's a good title. A little bit overrated in this list. I don't agree with it being number 3, but it is one of the better games on the PlayStation 3, and I did include it in my top 30. So it's a solid experience. Number 4 is Batman Arkham City from 2011. another one that was a part of my top 30 list in my top 30 PS3 games of all time. Not as high as number 4 though. I wouldn't rank it as high as number 4. It's a good Batman game, very good. Probably my personal favorite Batman game of all time. Although it's not particularly hard to top the previous Batman games aside from Arkham Asylum. Because, I remember back in the 90s there were games like Batman Forever, and those games were not good. They were just these basic generic beat-em-ups on the Super Nintendo, and I thought that they were not outstanding. They were actually very crappy, especially Batman Forever. I'm sure there were some decent ones, like the one that came out in the early 90s. I forgot what it was called, like Batman... I don't know, the one with Batman and Robin and the Joker and all that. But Batman Forever back in the mid-90s for the Super Nintendo, an awful, atrocious game. So a game like Arkham City is a vast improvement, very easy to improve upon, the previous formula, and it's a really incredible game. I told you my story regarding, playing this video game with my mom, who is actually a Batman fan from when she was younger. I told you that story in my top 30 PS3 games of all time video. So this game is already kind of a solid title just because of that experience that I had, and so it's a great game, but I don't want to put it in the top 4. I don't think it should be in the top 10 simply because I enjoyed many other games beyond Batman Arkham City. Like, again, it's a good Batman game, and the mechanics are good, and the single player campaign is good. It's just that it gets repetitive after a while, and you start to expect the same things after a while, and it's not... I don't want to crap on the game too much, because I do enjoy this game. It's probably the best Batman game of all time, at least from what I've experienced so far. So I don't want to be too negative with it. I just don't think that it should be in the top 4, although I can understand why. It is in my top 30 list, so... It's a good game, though. I don't hate it at all. Coming in at number 5 is Littlebigplanet. Number 5 is a little too high. Again, another game that is far too overrated on this list. We are going by the Metacritic scores, assuming that this person that made this list, they took it from the Metacritic scores. Littlebigplanet, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, especially the Game of the Year edition with the bonus content and the bonus missions and the bonus stages. And the custom stages that were included with it. Good game. It's a good platformer. I'm not sure. It shouldn't be number 5 at all. It wasn't even included in my top 30. I did include it in the honorable mentions from what I remember in my top 30 list. So it didn't make the top 30, but it did make the honorable mentions. It is a very good platforming game, but I felt like it gets really repetitive after a while, and it gets really boring after a while, where you're just kind of jumping from place to place, and you're just kind of walking through these stages, and it just feels like there's no meaning behind any of it. It feels like your character, Sackboy, is just going through the motions and going through these stages, almost like a bounds game. And like a game where you're going through it without any meaning. You're going through it like, okay, your character gets killed or gets finished in a stage, and so your character dies in the middle of a stage, and then you kind of restart or respawn from a checkpoint. And it's just really, really repetitive. It has a little bit of that old school platforming flavor like a Mario or even a Sonic, but not as fun as those games. It's a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical, and it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere in terms of storyline. And that's one thing that's what a platformer needs, is a goal. You need to get somewhere. You need to fight the boss. You need to get to the final stage and beat the boss or get to some kind of finale. With Littlebigplanet, it never felt like that. It felt like you're just going through different stages that look a little bit different in the different continents throughout the map. So you're going from an Asian influenced area, then you're going to Australia, an Australian influenced area, and so on and so forth. And you're just kind of it's almost like you're a visitor or a tourist. Like your character is a tourist going through these different gimmick looking stages, but there's no actual meaning behind it. There's no consequences. You just kind of play through the random stages. Alright, coming in at number 6 is Red Dead Redemption. I really do enjoy this game. I haven't played the zombie mode, the zombie extra bonus game. I forgot what it was called, like Undead or whatever. But as far as the main game of Red Dead Redemption, I do enjoy it. It's included in my top 30 games of all time, top 30 PS3 games of all time list. So this is one of my more enjoyable titles for sure. I love the whole hunting animals thing. As far as number 6, it's ranked kind of high in this one. I don't think I ranked it as high as number 6. I think it's a little bit below that in my list, but it's a very solid contender, though. Very worthwhile game as far as the campaign, and it's basically GTA in the Wild West back in the early 1900s. It's kind of funny because the Wild West thing is more of an 1800s kind of thing, like cowboys and Indians thing. But this one is more in the early 1900s, where that whole Wild West thing is coming to a close. That era is dying out. So I thought it was interesting to see that you had this whole cowboy gimmick and cowboys and Indians and all that, but then mixed in with a little bit of that early technology where there, you can watch an early projector kind of thing, like an early movie. So I thought that was really, really weird. I'm not sure if movies go back that far. I'm sure they, I think they have movies going all the way back to even like the late 1800s, like moving photographs and stuff. I'm sure that technology was around back then, but it's just so weird to see it kind of almost forced in with Red Dead Redemption. Like they really try to include the latest technology of that time with the whole like projector watching a movie thing. And like trying to force that into like, okay, this is the new world, this is the upcoming world, the future of the generations with the upcoming TV and then movies and movie theaters and stuff. That's like the predecessor and all that. So I thought that was interesting, but a little bit kind of forced. Like it felt like they had to shoehorn that into the storyline. Like, here's a little glimpse of what's to come in the future. I just thought it was kind of weird. Alright, coming in at number 7 is The Last of Us. I haven't played The Last of Us, so I really can't comment on it. I believe it's from the same people that produced the Uncharted games, right? Like the Naughty Dog and all that, if I'm not mistaken. And The Last of Us, it looks like a good game as far as like story wise and atmosphere, but I cannot bring myself to play it. I'm not, I wasn't going crazy when the game came out, even with all the critical acclaim and all that. I wasn't like buying into the hype. I wasn't falling for it, because I think at the time, around when this game came out, maybe 2014, I think 2013 or 2014, I wasn't crazy about it because it was another like zombie style game. I'm not sure if the characters are zombies, like the enemies and all that. But it was another one of those gimmick like zombie things where it's like, okay, well, I already gone through like Dead Rising 2. I like Resident Evil, but another zombie type of game or another like zombie-esque experience. It just felt like I don't care anymore. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to play this game. I'm just not interested in the storyline. It feels like The Walking Dead kind of thing, and I'm not really a fan of The Walking Dead. I'm not a fan of that whole. I'm not a fan of zombie drama. That's the best way I can put it. Is I'm not a fan of dramatic zombie type of thing where they try to include all this human emotion and all this emotional thing and this character like driven thing where it's like they gotta go through and it feels so emotional and it's so dramatic. Like I'm not a fan of that when it comes to zombies. When it comes to zombies, I'm more about like Dawn of the Dead. I'm more about that where your character, it's like a survival horror. I like when they play up the horror aspect more than the drama, because that's what a zombie thing is supposed to be: action, horror, like survival, that feeling of like you gotta survive this, you gotta survive this. Although I did enjoy 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later is one of my favorite like zombie type of movies, but even that one had plenty of action. That one had plenty of like atmosphere. And I think with The Last of Us, I feel like with The Last of Us, they try to make it, my impression of it anyway, again, I haven't played it, but my impression is that they're trying to make it dramatic. They're trying to make it like The Walking Dead, and I'm not a fan of The Walking Dead. Okay, number 8. Number 8 is Portal 2. I have this game. I didn't play it that much. The only reason why I got it was because I think I had the orange box on the Xbox 360, so Portal was on there, and I thought Portal was alright. It's kind of a fun, like, little shooter, first-person shooter kind of puzzle game and puzzle-solving game. So Portal 2, I haven't really gotten into. I have the game on the PS3, but I don't think I ever spent more than an hour playing it. So I never got too far into it. One of these days, I'm sure I'm gonna invest more time in it, so I can't really comment as far as it being number 8. It's ranked really, really high. From what I experienced so far, I mean, the puzzle aspect is pretty good. It's a little too isolated for me. It feels like you're just kind of you're a single character, and you're not there's no excitement about it. You're just kind of puzzle solving the whole thing, but just done in first person perspective. So it's almost like it's one of those old school like PC games where you gotta it's like a puzzle solving thing, but just done in a first person perspective. So it doesn't feel exciting. But definitely one of these days, I really have to try to really play through it. I just get bored of like puzzle games really quickly. Number 9 is Bioshock Infinite. I'm a little surprised with this. I do have this game. I haven't played it yet. I've had it for a while now. But I love the other Bioshock games. I love Bioshock 1 and 2. And those ones were in my top 5, top 6 games of all time. PS3, my top 30 PS3 games. In my top 30 PlayStation 3 games list. So with Infinite, one of these days I gotta play it eventually, but it's number 9. I can't believe it's number 9 though, and it's over the other Bioshock games. I just can't believe it, because I remember when Bioshock Infinite came out, and I remember like seeing the ratings and all that, and the reviews from fans, the user scores and the user reviews and the feedback, and I remember a lot of people dissing Bioshock Infinite. They were like, "Oh, this game sucks. It didn't live up to the ad and the trailer. They had the E3 trailer and all that, and it didn't have the same, like it wasn't the same." So my impression was always like, "Oh, well, it's not as good as Bioshock 1 and 2. Like that was my first impression of it. Eventually I did get the game, but I still haven't really played it. So it's one of those titles that, I mean, it's number 9, so I think it's just a case of like the score, the Metacritic score being really, really high. Alright, number 10 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Haven't played that one. I did enjoy Modern Warfare 2, though. Oh, no, wait, hold on. Number 10 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Oh, crap. Okay, so I made a mistake. Number 10, and it's weird. It's got the Wii logo on this particular photo. COD Modern Warfare. But the stupid photo is COD Modern Warfare, so that's why I got confused. It says Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. This is the second one, the one that came out in 2009. I enjoyed this one. This is the one that I like. And then number 11 is Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. This is the first in the Modern Warfare. I think this is the one that came out in 2007, which I can't believe Modern Warfare came out 10 years ago, a decade ago. Pretty crazy. Yeah, I never played Modern Warfare, the first one, but I did enjoy the second one, Modern Warfare 2, on the PlayStation 3. So that one I liked. I like Modern Warfare 2. As far as them being back to back or side by side, it's a little weird to me. Call of Duty, they feel kind of the same after a while. They feel very generic. I don't really particularly see too many differences between Modern Warfare 2 and other shooters like a Battlefield and even something like a Killzone. Like, you can experience very similar things on those other franchises, like a Battlefield, a Killzone, where it feels similar enough, and I'm not entirely sure why the Modern Warfare series gets so much... they get so overblown, they're good games. Like, you can tell that they're really well made, but as far as it being so overhyped and being like number 10 and number 11 and being so high in people's lists. I just don't understand that. You know what I mean? Maybe it's because of the the multiplayer campaign, or I should say not the multiplayer campaign, the multiplayer matches. You know, the online matches, which I never really got into. I'm more of a single player type of guy. So, all right, coming in at number 12 is Bioshock. I love Bioshock. I already gave my thoughts about it in my top 30 PlayStation 3. List. This ranked really high in my list. I think it was like top 3 or something like that. I love the first Bioshock. I love the little sister, big daddy dynamic. Very charming, very endearing. I love saving the little sisters. You know, I never ever want to harvest them. You know, I don't. It feels very evil, you know, and I find them really adorable, and I really want to save them. I have like that weird paternal instinct to save the little sisters. They're just so cute, you know, little girls running around with these giant monster big daddy things. It's really it's such a cool dynamic. Like, they just look cool. It's just a cool chemistry. I love exploring Rapture. You know, Rapture still looks good to this day. The graphics still look pretty good because it has a style about it that is very distinct, very unique for the time. So it's still aged pretty well, even though Bioshock, just like Modern Warfare, is going on 10 years ago. You know, it is a decade ago. Came out in 2007, although it came out in 2008 for the PlayStation 3. Number 13 is the first Mass Effect. I liked it on the Xbox 360. Never got too far with it, but I never had it on the PS3. So, but I did enjoy it on the Xbox 360. Kind of interesting that the first one is on this list. You know, they didn't have the second one. I think I like the second one out of the Mass Effect series the best. Yeah, Mass Effect 2 I thought was quite enjoyable. Number 14 is Street Fighter 4. You want to talk about overrated. Street Fighter 4 is super over. The fact that it's number 14 on this list is ridiculous. I wouldn't even include it in my top 30 or top 100. I wouldn't even, well, maybe not. Maybe top 100 is fine, but like really low on a top 100. Like I would maybe include it like number 95 or 96. Not nearly as high as number 14. That is absolutely absurd. It's just your typical like Street Fighter game. If you want the best Street Fighter games, you got to go look at the Alpha series, the original Street Fighter 2, even like Street Fighter 3 series, like Third Strike and all that, the Marvel vs. Capcom series, Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Like those games are much more enjoyable because Street Fighter 4 is just, it's not even a complete version. It's not even a complete game. You know what I mean? Like if it comes to Street Fighter 4, you should rather include, instead of putting Street Fighter 4, put in Ultra Street Fighter 4 with all the characters included and all the stages and all that and the downloadable stuff, because at least that's complete. This one is just a really early version of a game that's going to be rehashed again and again. It's basically an incomplete. It's almost like it's like a beta version or a really early, like unfinished version. So even like the first Street Fighter 4, the one that came out back in I think early 2009, is not that impressive. It's really not that impressive of a game. Even the graphics aren't really that good. The stage designs are not that great. It's just it's a mediocre Street Fighter game, and there's other better fighting games than Street Fighter 4. I can't believe it ranked number 4. So stupid. Very disappointed. Coming in at number 15 is Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. Solid game, you know, one of the best for sure. Great characters, storytelling, voice acting is on point. The graphics are a little bit dated at this point. I believe I ranked it pretty high in my top 30 PlayStation 3 games list. And yeah, I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? Even though it has so many cutscenes, I enjoyed it. I think it should have been the end in the finale of the series. Coming in at number 16 is The Walking Dead Telltale game series. I don't think I've ever played this one because it's The Walking Dead. I'm not into The Walking Dead, guys. Like Telltale games, I'm not into that style. I'm not into that whole like I guess it's like an adventure, like it's almost like well, I don't want to say because I haven't really experienced it, but it just doesn't look appealing to me. I like zombie games depending on the style, like a Dead Rising 2 or a Resident Evil. I like that stuff, but, you know, I'm not into the Walking Dead franchise. I'm just not into it. Coming in at number 17 is the Metal Gear Solid, the Legacy Collection. Okay, so this is a collection of different games. That's cool, you know, I'm into the Metal Gear Solid franchise. I like Metal Gear Solid 2. That one I quite enjoyed. Even the first Metal Gear Solid, all the way back from the PS1 days, was a pretty good game. Kind of a revolutionary title. I think that one was from 1998. 1998 was a hell of a year for video games. So this one is the Legacy Collection. I'm not entirely sure every game that's included in here, but hey, it's a collection, man. So anybody that's a stealth fan, it's something to check out for sure. The Metal Gear Solid franchise has been pretty good. You know, most of the games have been pretty decent. Coming in at number 18 is Elder Scrolls 4: The Oblivion. I thought this game was very overrated when it came out. My copy, every time I buy this game, it always has glitches. Glitches. It just keeps freezing. I cannot stand it. One thing I did like is the graphics. I thought the graphics was really good. Like, even today, the environments still look really good. The grass, the fields, the open world, the beautiful lush environments of the forests and all that. Very beautiful game still to look at. The music is also really good. So, great soundtrack, great looking graphics, but the gameplay really annoys me because it's very slow paced. And then it has so many glitches. I got it on the this is a PS3 game. I can understand it being ranked really high on a PC because from what I understand, you know, the PC version is a very different thing. It's, you know, you can work your way around the PC version, but the PS3 version keeps freezing for me every single time. And I had it on multiple different PS3 systems, and I had different copies of the game. I remember the first time I bought this was like back in like 2011 or something like that, and I played it back then. It would freeze, and then I bought it again not too long ago again. Like, I rebought it, I think maybe just a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago or something like that, and again it keeps freezing. I got a different PS3 Slim, and it freezes again and again and again. It's so irritating. I got it fully patched, you know, it's fully patched and everything, and it's still freezing, so that is incredibly irritating. It just pisses me off. Number 19 is Braid. I've never played Braid, so, you know, I have no experience with that title. Number 20 is Mass Effect 3. I've never played this one, the third Mass Effect. I remember it getting kind of bad reviews, especially the ending. You know what I'm saying? I think I just burped. I'm sorry. But Mass Effect 3, I haven't played that one yet. Maybe one of these days I will. But out of all the Mass Effect games, I can't believe Mass Effect 2 is not even included yet in the top 20 in this particular list. Mass Effect 2 was my personal favorite out of the series. So, you know, I really enjoyed Mass Effect 2. Number 21 is Skyrim. Oh god, Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. Never got into it. Not really interested, especially with the fact that I did not like Oblivion that much. So Skyrim, I've never really been interested in playing it. I have absolutely no interest in Elder Scrolls V. Coming in at number 22 is God of War 3. God of War 3 is a good game. Not as good as God of War 2. Not even as good as the first God of War. I didn't enjoy God of War 3 as much as the previous PS2 God of War games. God of War 3 is good. You know, it's number 22 on the list, which is respectable, but I don't even think, just as a game by itself, that I would include it in a top 30. Now, I included it in the list as far as the God of War collection, the complete saga collection, because that included 1, 2, 3, and the PSP games. So that in and of itself is a great collection to have. But just God of War 3 alone, I think it's not as good as the previous versions. I was actually a little bit disappointed with it when it first came out, and when I first beat the game, I felt like, it's more of the same, and the storyline isn't really that great. And it didn't have the same epic feel, the same epic excitement that I had back when God of War 1 came out and God of War 2 on the PlayStation 2. I felt like with God of War 3, it started to get a little bit generic and a little bit like kind of tired. You know, the series was starting to get stale at that point. But it's still an enjoyable game. There's a lot worse games than God of War 3 for sure. Alright, coming in at number 23 is Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception. I thought it was a good game. It's not a game that I would include in a top 30. I liked Uncharted 2 much, much better. I thought the storyline for Drake's Deception was not that great. The gameplay was not as good, not as fun as the previous 1 and 2. And I did not like it as much as Uncharted 2 or Uncharted 1 even. Even though, you know, Drake's Deception felt like a more... I don't even like it, more introspective. It's a little bit more like delving into the psyche of the character, like Drake's character and all that. More focus on him, more focus on his, like I don't want to say emotional, but like from a more introspective, like more focusing on his trials and tribulations, like him having to deal with his you know, these different things going on in his life. It felt almost dramatic, you know. It was almost like a drama, and I'm not really a huge fan of Drake's Deception. It's the least favorite out of the three, personally for me. I did not like it as much as 1 and 2, and even the stage designs and stuff, like the different environments, were not as interesting as 1 and 2, especially not as good as the second one. The second one was just really, really well made, and I felt like the third one was kind of disappointing. So. Number 24 is Super Street Fighter 4. See, again, like, why the hell would you not include Super Street Fighter 4 instead of Street Fighter 4? Because this one is the super version, it's got more characters. It's just idiotic to me. And it's number 24? It's number 20. Really? It's number 24? I am sick of the Street Fighter 4, like, installments. I'm tired. Enough with them. Enough. It's not even the best 2D fighting game. You know, Street Fighter Cross Tekken was better, in my opinion. Mortal Kombat 2011 was better. So, anyway, number 25. Number 25 is Rock Band 4. Yes. I don't know. I don't have much to say because I never played the Rock Band series. I never really got into these Rock Band type of games and, you know, gimmick music peripherals and all that. You know, I respect the Guitar Hero series, but like Rock Band, I just do not give a crap about it. If you enjoyed it, you know, then more power to you, but I never really got into these rhythm games. Number 26 is Journey. Never got into Journey, so I don't really have any experience with it. Number 27 is Ico in the Shadow of the Colossus collection, the HD. I like it. It's one of my favorite collections on the PlayStation 3. Just for Shadow of the Colossus alone, but of course Ico is a very solid title as well, and it's a part of my top 30 PlayStation 3 games for sure. It's on my list, so I quite enjoy it. The graphics are still good, especially remastered. Very two unique and you know, kind of quirky games, different gameplay, and It's a must-have, I think, for the PlayStation 3, just because, you know, not everybody got a chance to play Ico, and then you got Shadow Colossus, which is a PS2 classic, and so you got two great games on a single package. Number 28 is Pac-Man Championship Edition DX. I don't even know why the hell Pac-Man is trending in the top PS3 games list. I never really got into Pac-Man. It's kind of before my time, you know. I was born in 1987, and Pac-Man was relevant in like the early 80s. So I never really got into the Pac-Man like experience. I never really became a Pac-Man fan, and so I just don't care about Pac-Man. Number 29 is Rock Band 2. Again, another Rock Band title. I'm just rolling my eyes like, ugh, Rock Band, like, ugh. There's other games out there than, you know, these rhythm games. Like, I swear to God, you know, I don't want to make it sound like I'm hating on these games. I just don't. It's like there's Guitar Hero and then there's Rock Band, and it's like more rhythm games, like the same crap, but now with more instruments. And it's like, I just do not care. If I want to play instruments, then I'm gonna be in a real band. You know what I mean? Like, that's my thing. Is that if you want to play instruments, then go learn a real instrument. Go play in a real band and go learn these songs for real instead of playing it on a stupid simulated, like, crappy, I guess I am hating on it. Oh well. It is what it is. Number 30 is Littlebigplanet 2. I think I have this on the PS3. I never really played it that much. Yeah, I think I have it on the PlayStation 3. I just don't... I never really got into it. You know, I thought the first one was alright, but I was never crazy about the first Littlebigplanet, so with the second one, I just was not excited about it. Number 31 is Rock Band 3, another Rock Band game. Like, at this point, I don't even give a crap. I don't care about Rock Band anymore. I am done with it. Like, any kind of interest I have with Rock Band, by Rock Band 3, I'm just like, ugh. Number 32 is FIFA 10. I'm not a soccer fan, so I don't care about soccer / football, so not into the FIFA series. But I think I played at least one of the FIFA titles on the PlayStation 3, like one of those games. And I think like these soccer games I'm not crazy about either. Like, I'm not crazy about the simulated soccer games, because I think, like, soccer is really boring to watch in real life. Like, actual FIFA, like, you know, the real sport, is really boring to watch. So the idea of playing it and, like, doing another, like, simulated thing and having the same boring experience, but this time you get to control the experience, is it's not appealing to me. It's not appealing to me. Number 33 is Assassin's Creed 2. Like this game. Really like it. It's my favorite in the entire Assassin's Creed series. It's in my top 30 PlayStation 3 games of all time list. It actually ranked pretty high. So, Creed 2, my personal favorite out of the Assassin's Creed series, and a vast improvement over the first one. Very good. They really set the bar with Creed 2, and I think it is the pinnacle of the series. Everything that was good about Creed, the Assassin's Creed series, is embodied in Assassin's Creed 2. Like, they got pretty much everything right, and it's sort of been downhill ever since, or at least, like, mediocre. They haven't really like improved too much afterwards. It's almost like Soul Calibur, in that they kind of rehash the same thing over and over again now. You know, like, they peak really early with Soul Calibur 1 back in the late 90s, and then they've been the same thing over and over again, and kind of the same thing with Assassin's Creed 2. Number 34 is Borderlands 2. I never played that one, but I did kind of enjoy the first Borderlands. I thought the first one was pretty good. Never got into the second one. And I'm not really that interested in the second one, because the first one was good, but it was kind of repetitive, and it did get boring after a while. You know, so as far as replaying the same style of, like, looting and just finding stuff on the ground, and, like, you know, finding items on the ground, and then sometimes occasionally updating your weapon and updating your guns and all that, it does get a little bit, like, hackneyed after a while. It just gets tired after a while. Like, it's repetitive, it's predictable, you're just making your character stronger by killing the same enemies over and over again. Like, it's just an RPG, but just first-person shooter, you know what I mean? Number 35 is Peggle. I don't think I've ever played Peggle. Number 36 is MLB 10, The Show. I am not a baseball fan, so I don't care about MLB, so I never played this one. Number 37 is God of War Collection. Solid collection. I have it on the PlayStation 3, and I also have the original games on the PlayStation 2. I mean, this is the first God of War, and the God of War 2 on the PS2, so this was included in my top 30 list, along with the the other God of War games. God of War Saga collection. But this one by itself is a very good collection. First one and the second one, because those games are some of the best, some of the best PS2 games ever released. Very enjoyable single-player campaign, great character, great voice acting, great music, great soundtrack, awesome graphics, blood, gore, sex, everything is on point with God of War. The first two God of War games, so gotta have it in the PS3. Number 38 is Killzone 2. Quite enjoyed Killzone 2. I guess Killzone 3 is a little bit better than Killzone 2, so I would pick Killzone 3 a little bit over the second Killzone. But they're pretty close, You can kind of go either way. Killzone 2 was good in that it was a great improvement compared to the first Killzone on the PlayStation 2. The first Killzone was just just a very big disappointment. You know what I mean? It really wasn't special. The gameplay was bland. The enemies were really kind of stupid. They just kind of awkwardly stood there, and it was a crappy, drabby-looking game. But with Killzone 2, they improved the CPU. They improved the challenging aspect of it. The graphics, of course, were better. The stage designs felt a little bit more, a little bit faster paced. Like you went through the stages a little bit better. There were more checkpoints. It's kind of like Call of Duty. You know, it's like Call of Duty in space. You know, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 in outer space. Very cool stuff. Number 39 is Batman Arkham Asylum. I barely played this one. You know, I didn't really get into it. I think I played like a demo of it. It was okay. You know, I never really got into it though. So, and I prefer Arkham City anyways. Like with Arkham City, it has everything. And with Arkham Asylum was probably one of those games that's it's like a good introduction to the Arkham series, but it was almost like a teaser for what was to come in Arkham City. Number 40 is Rayman Legends. Oh god, a Rayman game. This one, I never really got into that one, so can't tell you much about the Rayman Legends. Alright, number 41 is NBA 2K12. NBA 2K12, I think I have 2K11, I think? The one that came out, the one with Michael Jordan on the cover, which I think that one came out in 2010. That one got really high scores. I remember that one. But this one is 2K12. I'm actually not a big fan of the NBA 2K series. Like 2K11 was not that great. Like you can tell, like the quality was there, and there was a lot of detail, a lot of modes and stuff like that. But as far as like a simulator, I prefer the NBA Street games on the PS2, and that's why I didn't include any NBA games or any of the NBA 2K games in my top 30 PS3 games. But I did include NBA Street Volume 2 in my top 30 PlayStation 2 list, because the Street series I thought was really fun, very arcadey, very cartoonish, but it was just so fun to play. But with the 2K series, it felt a lot more micromanagement, a lot more simulator heavy, a lot slower paced, and they really try to make it feel like a realistic thing, but just because it's realistic doesn't make it like super fun. It feels actually a lot slower and a lot more tedious. Number 42 is Far Cry 3. I think I have this one. I got the collection and all that. Like I got Far Cry 2 and Blood Dragon or whatever, and Far Cry 3. I'm not a big fan of the Far Cry series actually. I was quite disappointed with the Far Cry games. I guess Blood Dragon would be my favorite out of all of them, and even that one I didn't like that much, because the gameplay really wasn't that fun in any of the Far Cry games. I felt like they were more tedious and more time consuming than fun and enjoyable. I can imagine it being more fun on a PC though, because of the PC it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more, the PC experience is a little bit different than consoles. But on the console, it's like you're driving around in a vehicle and you're using the controller, and it feels really awkward and weird, because it's like you go inside a vehicle and you're looking at it from the inside of the vehicle, and it always felt awkward to me. I always get dizzy when I'm driving around like that. It's not like with GTA or any of those games that's in third-person perspective. This one is like, everything is like in first-person mode, but just really it makes me dizzy and nauseating. So I just don't like playing it. It makes me feel ill, you know what I mean? So when you're playing a video game and you want to feel like you're throwing up, that's not a good sign. Number 43 is FIFA 12. Again, I never really got into these stupid FIFA games. I'm not a soccer fan. I think they're really boring, and if you like it, that's fine. But I think it's a very niche thing as far as like playing these soccer games. Not everybody likes simulated sports. Like in real life, playing soccer is all right, but these simulated things are just not that exciting for me. Number 44 is Fallout 3. I thought Fallout 3 was alright. It was a pretty good game, I liked it better than the Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls games. Fallout 3 was good. I did not like the fact that you couldn't get rid of everybody. Like you couldn't basically shoot everybody to smithereens and blow them up. That really bothered me. but I enjoyed generally walking around the environment and talking to different people, and just this post-apocalyptic, like desolate, not desolate, but like everything is bombed out, and these destroyed-looking cities and stuff. It's a pretty cool environment. It's a pretty cool RPG, first-person action RPG, I guess. I shouldn't say that. I don't think it's action RPG. It's a FPS RPG, whatever. First-person shooter role-playing game with some strategy involved. So, my favorite parts though would be like in the underground. I always thought it was creepy going through like the tunnel, subway, like underground system, and because you're guaranteed to fight like rebels and like mutants and like just creatures in the underground, and so I thought that was kind of cool. It was always intimidating and kind of scary. So I really like that. Number 45 is Mlb the Show. I don't give a crap about baseball. Number 46 is Mlb 09. So 45 is Mlb 11. 46 is Mlb 09. Like I said, I don't care about these MLB games. I do not care about baseball. Not really a baseball fan, and I've never really been into the baseball video games. So I don't care. Number 47 is A Creed Brotherhood. Thought it was good. Not as good as A Creed 2, but still up there. Still pretty good. The campaign was decent. The characters are all right. This was when Assassin's Creed started to get a little bit repetitive though, and really really predictable. Like with A Creed 2, it was like, alright, much better than A Creed 1, alright, sweet. And then Brotherhood was like, okay, more of the same. It's good, but it's more of the same. So, that was like the beginning of Assassin's Creed's kind of trying to just become repetitive and just being stagnant after a while. Number 48 is Mass Effect 3 Citadel. I have no idea what the hell this is. I don't know if this is a separate game or a standalone, like, separate mission, or just just Mass Effect 3, but like with more additions, like an updated version of Mass Effect 3. So, number 49 is Okami HD. This one I never played on the PS2, and I'm not interested in it back then when it came out, back in like 2006, and I'm not interested in it now. I just don't care about Okami. It looks like a decent game, but it's really not my style, you know what I mean? Number 50 is Limbo. I don't even remember this game. I think I've heard of it, but I'm really not interested in it. Number 51 is NBA 2K13, another NBA 2K game. Really not a fan of the simulator style. I love basketball. I love playing basketball in real life. It's my favorite sport to play by far. But as far as the 2K series, I'm really not into it. Number 52 is Wipeout HD Fury. I don't know, is this different from Wipeout HD? I think I have Wipeout HD on the PlayStation 3, the one that you can download, so I don't know if Fury is a sequel or what. I did enjoy Wipeout HD, so I mean, I like it. It's not the greatest racing series, but it's kind of cool, floating vehicles and all that, or hovering vehicles, I should say. The Wipeout series goes way back in the day, you know what I mean? Like, this is an old series. And, I like it. I think I have a couple of the Wipeout games. I got one on the PSP as well, so it's alright. I'm not crazy about them. I don't think they're the greatest racing games of all time, but they're okay. Number 53 is XCOM, Enemy Unknown. This is one of my favorites on the PS3. Again, I think I included this in my top 30 PlayStation 3 games of all time. Solid game, solid experience, great gameplay. It does get a little bit slow, and after a while, you might get a little bit bored just because it's kind of repetitive after a while, but it's just well presented, cool little cutscenes, and I love the strategy aspect of it and moving the characters around like a strategy style. Number 54 is Demon's Souls. Good game. Not one of my personal favorites, simply because I feel like this game is far too tedious. Your character perishes in the middle of a fight in the middle of the stage, and then you gotta restart over and over again. Now, that is challenging, and I appreciate that. But the problem that I have is that there is no relief with these games. It's just you gotta do the same thing. I would not be bothered if the enemies were a little bit different. Like if every time that you played a stage, it was a different experience. The problem is that it's always the same thing. It's always constantly the same thing. The enemies come out of the same area. The enemies pop out of the same place. So it's very identical. Like every stage, every time that you die, you gotta restart again, but it's the same experience. Like the same exact position. The enemies come out from the same area, pretty much, and it's very repetitive, and I don't like that. I would much appreciate this game better if it was a little bit more random. Like every time that you play it, the enemies came out in different areas and they attack you in a different way every single time. So it's a bit more unpredictable. Number 55 is Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. This one I don't think I ever played. But I'm not crazy about the Need for Speed series anyway. I'm more of a fan of Burnout and Midnight Club. Although Need for Speed is not bad. Like some of the better games they have, like I think Hot Pursuit 2, or one of those games, or one of those titles from back in the day. Number 56 is FIFA 11. Again, I'm not into soccer. There's so many of these stupid games like the FIFA and NBA 2K and all that. They really rank really high, like these sports games. But they're not. They're like simulator. They're not like the Street series, the more arcadey, like fun style sports titles. Number 57 is Deus Ex Human Revolution. This game was really, really boring to me. I got it on a collection. I think it was like a stealth collection or something like that. And so Deus Ex Human Revolution I did not like. I thought this game was super boring. I was not even a fan of the first Deus Ex, the one that came out in I think the early 2000s. I used to have that on the PS2, and that game was so freaking boring. And this one, the Human Revolution, which is I think a follow-up to the first Deus Ex, is just not a fun first-person shooter. It's really, really boring. And even worse is the graphics. I thought the graphics were really crappy. Everything was like colored brown in this game. So graphically, visually, it was not a pleasant experience. And the gameplay was just sort of this mediocre, like generic first-person shooter. It really wasn't exciting. Alright, number 58 is LA Noire. I never played LA Noire, and I'm not really interested in it. So I remember this game coming out, and it got like pretty bad scores. But like maybe that's just my impression of it. So never really got into it. Maybe one of these days I might play it. I might buy it one of these days, but I'm just not interested in it. I prefer the other open world type of games. Number 59 is Dishonored. I thought Dishonored was a tremendous game. I would rank it quite a bit higher. I think this was included in my top 30 list. Good game, good first-person stealth kind of game. I like the abilities. I like the storyline. The graphics are all right. They're decent. They're not the greatest, but the gameplay is really fun, at least for me. So this was a solid single-player experience, and I quite enjoyed it. It's something that I think everybody should check out at least once. Very good game. Number 60 is Metal Gear Solid HD Collection. I don't know what the hell's going on because the other one said Legacy Collection. So this one is HD. So I don't know if this is the same as the other one. So I'm confused now. I'm completely confused. The other, I don't know what's going on. This one's the Solid HD Collection. So I'm not entirely sure if I confused this one for the other one. They already included the other Metal Gear Solid game here, so I talked about it. The Legacy Collection and the HD Collection, I have no idea what the hell's going on, why it's the same title. I'm confused right now, so maybe this one looks like there's a PSP. Is that Peace Walker? That looks like Peace Walker to me. Yeah, this might be a bunch of different games. This might have been like the PSP games, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it has Sons of Liberty. What is that? Sons of Liberty? What the hell? Anyway. Number 61. Number 61 is Dead Space 2. Love this game. Dead Space 2 was great. Dead Space 1 was also amazing. The fact that it's not even... Well, I mean, it ranked a little bit higher than Dead Space. The fact that it didn't even make the top 10 is ridiculous. And the first one as well. I thought the first one was amazing. Second Dead Space was great too. I already talked about it in my top 30 PlayStation 3 games of all time. These are some of my favorite survival horror games of all time. Better than the Resident Evil series. I quite enjoyed it a lot more than Resident Evil 4. Dead Space 2, pretty cool setting this time around. Great weapons, great abilities. Cool enemies to fight against. I love the atmosphere of these Dead Space games. Just awesome. Number 62 is Ratchet and Clank Future Tools of Destruction. I never got into the Ratchet and Clank PS3 games. You guys know how I feel about Ratchet and Clank. I wasn't crazy about it in the PS2, with Up Your Arsenal and all that. And this one is the continuation of the PS3. So I was never a fan of the Ratchet and Clank series. Never really got into it. Don't care. I'm not interested. Number 63 is the Orange Box. I do remember the Orange Box coming out on the PS3. From what I remember, it was really buggy on the PS3. I got it on the Xbox 360, I think, the Orange Box. But as far as the PS3 version, I tend to stay away from that one because it's like a crappy, it has bugs and glitches or whatever. That's what I heard. It wasn't 100% on point. It had bugs and glitches, so I tend to stay. It does have Half-Life Episode 2 and Team Fortress 2, and I think the first version of Portal was there. So it's ambitious. It's got these good-looking games in it. It's just that as far as if everything I heard is right as far as glitches, then I'm not interested in it. Number 64 is NBA 2K11. And I don't know why the hell it says NBA 2K11, but it has a photo of NBA 2K17, which is absolutely, just stupid. What an idiotic mistake. But I think I do have 2K11. That's the one with Michael Jordan on the cover. So that's the one that I bought because it got so many high scores back in I guess it's going 7 years ago when that game came out. Pretty wild, 7 years ago. God damn. Yeah, not really crazy about the NBA 2K series. Number 65 is Dark Souls. I got this one on the Xbox 360. It's good, I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's kind of like Demon Souls with slightly better graphics, a little bit better, better looking. But it's pretty much the same. I mean, it's very close to the Demon Souls experience. I mean, Dark Souls is basically like the same game, but for multiplats, it's not just a PS3 exclusive this time. So it's kind of like a rehashed type of game, that same kind of a slower paced action adventure kind of experience. And yeah, I just don't like the combat system. I'm not a big fan of that slow paced It's so slow, and it's so not like God of War. God of War is so awesome because it's so fast, it's so frenetic, and it's so chaotic. But with Dark Souls, you gotta walk around really slowly. You gotta be very careful. You can't get hit too much. You gotta, everything is about timing. Everything is about just this really slow-paced combat engine, and I'm just not really crazy about it. Number 66 is the Beatles rock band. Oh God, the Beatles. I don't care. I don't care about rock band. I'm sure the Beatles is a great band. I heard a lot of good things about them. I'm not really crazy about them. There's a few Beatles songs that I like, but I was never crazy about the Beatles. Because I was born in 1987. You know what I mean? Those guys were several decades before my time. Number 67 is NHL 11. Yeah, not crazy about the NHL games either. Number 68 is Dead Space. I love Dead Space. You guys have heard me rave about this particular survival horror. I love it. I love the setting. I love the mine ship in outer space. It's kind of like Alien. It has a little bit of The Thing in it as far as creature designs and all that. I absolutely love Dead Space. One of my favorite PS3 games of all time. And it ranked really, really high in my top 30 PlayStation 3 games list. I think it was number 2. So that's how I feel about it. Love the graphics, like the environments. It's so dope. The gameplay is good. It's like Resident Evil 4, but done pretty much perfectly. You know, it's Resident Evil 4 without the bullcrap. Number 69 is NHL 09. Again, another NHL game. Holy crap, number 70, NHL 10. So you got two back-to-back NHL titles here. I got one of the NHL games, I think maybe 09 or 08, but I just do not care about these stupid sports titles. Like, for the most part, they're just there. You know, I'm not like crazy about them. You know, I don't hate them, but it's like, you know, give me NBA Street. You know, that's what I like. I love the Street series. Give me NFL Blitz. I love that. You know, NBA Jam. I love that more arcadey, like more over the top, like really extra, like the sports games where they seem a lot more unrealistic, but more fun because, you know, the gameplay is more chaotic and more flashy and stuff. Alright, number 71 is the first Uncharted, Drake's Fortune. Good game, good first installment. This is another game from 2007, like a decade ago, you know. So I can't believe the Uncharted series goes all the way back. It's 10 years ago now. That's pretty crazy. Good game. I thought it was good. Second one was better. But I think the first Drake's first Uncharted was better than Uncharted 3. That's one thing that I will say, just because it was just an overall better game. You know what I mean? Like, the experience was good, the environments, the storytelling was more simple, straight to the point. Even though the cutscenes are a little bit more dated than the other Uncharted games. You know, it looks a lot more like a 2006, 2007 like cutscenes. You know how the characters look a lot more plastic compared to the later installments. Number 72 is Battlefield Bad Company 2. I enjoyed this game. One of the better first-person shooters on the PlayStation 3. Great characters, you know, great graphics. I thought the graphics were really, really impressive for the time, and the gameplay. It's very similar to the other FPS games. Very similar to a Call of Duty, and even something like a Killzone 2 or Killzone 3. Just your basic first-person shooter experience, but presented in a very good, like, very movie-esque kind of experience. Very epic. And it feels like you're going through an adventure, going through almost like a theme park. Number 73 is GTA 4, The Lost and Damned. I thought it was a good game. As a standalone by itself, I mean, it's a solid experience, and it does feel a little bit different from the other GTA games. It is number 73 between this and Ballad of Gay Tony. Maybe I like Ballad of Gay Tony a little bit more, just because the graphics on Ballad of Gay Tony is a little bit better, and I like the whole nightclub thing. So I quite enjoyed that. But Lost and the Damned is a pretty solid title too, and riding around on a motorcycle that feels a little bit different. It feels like like the physics of the motorcycle is a little bit heavier, a little bit more like heavyweight, a little bit more sturdy than just riding on a basic motorcycle in the other GTA titles. So with this one is a little bit more, there's a better foundation for the controls and you know, driving around and all that. It feels a little bit more grounded. So that's what I like about it. And so it's a fun game, you know, it's not bad. But you got to experience it with a full package, with a full, you know, GTA 4 complete edition with Lost and Damned and Ballad of Gay Tony. Number 74 is Ninja Gaiden Sigma. I think I remember having this in the PS3. This is the, I believe, Ninja Gaiden, the remade version of the one that came out on the Xbox, if I'm not mistaken. So Sigma is one of those games that is very difficult, very challenging, but you know, it's a good enough game. It's a good enough like hack and slash type of experience. I just never got crazy about Ninja Gaiden. You know, I never really like super got into it, aside from the one that came out on the NES, which I remember playing that one. I remember playing the trilogy, Ninja Gaiden 1, 2, and 3 on the I think it was a Super Nintendo collection back in the day. And I think I beat the very original Ninja Gaiden from the NES days. That was a pretty good game. Alright, number 75 is Black Ops. God, do I have this one? I think I have Black Ops 2 on the Xbox 360. Yeah, I don't care about Call of Duty at this point. Like, Call of Duty Black Ops, I just don't care. Number 76, Black Flag. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Don't think I have this. The latest one I have is Assassin's Creed 3. I think I have this on the Xbox 360, now that I think about it. Yes, I think I have it on the 360. Not on the PS3, though. The PS3 I have all the way up to Assassin's Creed 3, and I think I have Assassin's Creed 4 on the Xbox 360. So that's the one. I think I made a mistake. So, but this one I never really got into. I never really played Black Flag. So I'm kind of tired after Assassin's Creed 3. Like I didn't even like Assassin's Creed 3 that much. So with Black Flag, I'm really not interested in playing it. So it's like whatever. But I think I do have it lying around somewhere for the 360 version. Number 77 is Bioshock 2. Love Bioshock 2, one of my favorite FPS. Maybe not as good as the first Bioshock as far as like impact and influence, but Bioshock 2 is a pretty good, not even pretty good, but a very, very, very good, very worthy sequel to the first one. And it's one of my favorite top games on the PS3. You know, this one ranked very high on my top 30 PlayStation 3 list. Bioshock 2 was tremendous. I got like the DLC and all that. I bought them at the PSN store. Very, very fun game to play. It's Rapture all over again, but this time you got to face off against the big sisters and all that. And I quite enjoy the hell out of it. You know, Bioshock 2 is awesome. Awesome follow-up. Awesome sequel. One of the best sequels ever. Number 78 is Fight Night Round 4. I believe I have one of the Fight Night Round games on the PlayStation 3. I'm not sure if it's Round 4 because I haven't memorized the installments I have. It's good. You know, I like the Fight Night Round series. You know, maybe I prefer the one that I have on the PS2 a little bit better. I think I don't know if it's Fight Night Round 3 or one of the other ones. The one that I included in my top 30 PS2 list. That one I really, really enjoy the heck out of that one. But this one is on the PlayStation 3. For some reason, I feel like it's not as good. Like the PlayStation 3 Fight Night games, it's not as good. It doesn't have the same feeling as the one that I played on the PS2. So for some reason, like the gameplay is not as impactful. It doesn't feel as satisfying when you knock out your opponents with the version that I have on the PlayStation 3. Number 79 is Battlefield Bad Company 2 Vietnam. This one I never played. I like the Bad Company 2, the first one. But Vietnam, I don't think I ever played this one, so I have no idea. Number 80 is COD Modern Warfare 3. Don't think I ever played that one. I have no interest with Call of Duty after like Modern Warfare 2. I just have no interest. It's the same games over and over again. So, whatever. There's better first-person shooters out there, man. I mean, honest. Get Rainbow Six Vegas 2 instead. Number 81 is FIFA 13. I don't care about FIFA. Number 82 is The Walking Dead. I don't care about Walking Dead. This was episode 5. No time left. Number 83 is Grid. I've been meaning to play this one. I wish I got a chance to play Grid. There's a bunch of these. For some reason, the PS3 and the 7th generation racing games started to get like one word, like one syllable racing games. Like there was Grid, there was Blur, I'm sure there was another one, like other titles here, but Grid is the one that comes to mind. Grid, Blur, and these games that have that single word, and I don't know, like I've never played this one, but it does look pretty cool. I do like street racing games in general, so it's another one of those titles I wish I got a chance to play. Number 84 is Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix. Okay, yeah, I like Super Street Fighter 2. Back in the mid-90s. I mean, this is another installment, though, in the Street Fighter 2. Like, they came out over and over and over again. I like Street Fighter 2. I think it's one of the best fighting games of all time. But, an HD remix on the PlayStation 3, like, whatever. I'm so fed up with Street Fighter. Like, it's the same games over and over again. It's so predictable, Like, I don't know. whatever. Number 85 is Blazblue Calamity Trigger. I remember, I think I had this one back in the day. I might still have a copy of it, because there's been different ones. There's Calamity Trigger. There's another Blazblue game that I had back in the day. I'm not sure if Calamity Trigger is the first one or the second one. This might have been the first one, and then the other one was Blazblue something else. But I do have at least one of the Blazblue games, and they're okay. They're not as good as the other fighting games. They're not as exciting. They're not as sexy as like Dead or Alive. It's not as violent as Mortal Kombat. It's not as flashy or as fast-paced as like Street Fighter, and it doesn't have the awesome like combo juggling stuff of Tekken. So it's basically, it's almost like, it's not even as good as like King of Fighters and like the old like SNK like fighting games. It's just kind of there. Like the art design, I think, is the one that stands out the most. The art design is what makes it unique. Is that it looks like a really cool anime in a fighting game setting. But as far as like the gameplay, I've never been crazy about the fighting style in the gameplay of the characters. It feels a little too basic and a little too generic. Number 86 is Monkey Island 2. Wow, a sequel to Monkey Island had a sequel? That's pretty interesting to me. I thought Monkey Island was just it had one installment back in the day. But I might have to check this one out on the PlayStation 3. A Monkey Island game on the PlayStation 3. It's probably a downloadable on the PSN. Okay, number 87 is Red Dead Redemption, the Undead Nightmare. This one, I kind of wanted to play this one back in the day. I enjoyed the first Red Dead Redemption. This one is a zombie kind of game, and it's like a standalone too, so you can buy it on a separate disc. You don't have to have the first Red Dead Redemption. So it's fun, it's got a zombie gimmick, so it looks cool. It looks pretty badass. It's something that I definitely would like to play one of these days. Number 88 is FIFA 09. Not really into the FIFA thing. Dirt 3. Oh, God, yeah, that's the one. Dirt. That's another one. What's the other one? Grid, Blur, Dirt. Yeah, that's another one with a single syllable racing game. Dirt 3. I never played any of the Dirt games though. You know what I mean? So I never really got into them. It's one of those franchises or series that I just never got into. Just because I never really found the games at the stores. I never got an opportunity to really buy them. If I run across these games one of these days at EB Games or something, or one of the stores, maybe I'll definitely check it out. It's just that I never really had an opportunity to get the Dirt games or Grid or Blur or anything like that. I do have I got Split Second and Midnight Club Los Angeles on the PlayStation 3 as far as like street racing games. So that's the ones that I have. And those games are, they're all right. Also Burnout Paradise is another one. And I'm not crazy about Burnout Paradise. I thought the Burnout 3 Takedown and Burnout Revenge were way, way better than Burnout Paradise. Number 90 is Critter Crunch. I've never even heard of Critter Crunch, so I have no idea. Oh god, they look like Pokemon characters, Oh man, that's weird looking. Number 91 is Max Payne 3. Never got into the Max Payne series, you know what I mean? I never really got into it, so I can't really say much about it. The only thing I remember was the early 2000s when the first Max Payne came out. There was so much hype and like really high reviews and good reviews in the first one, especially with the whole bullet time thing taken from the Matrix and all that, the whole bullet time like slow down thing. Number 92 is Heavy Rain. I got Heavy Rain on the PS3. Now, let me tell you about this game. Heavy Rain is a buggy mess. The copy that I have on the PS3, which is fully patched, by the way, it's got like full patches and everything, like fully updated. Heavy Rain is so buggy, it keeps crashing on me all the time, it keeps freezing on me. It is a pile of trash. I have no idea why it's so buggy and it's got so many problems and issues. This game is just, it is a mess. It just keeps freezing, so I couldn't even get past like the first 10 minutes of this. It just kept freezing again and again, so I wasted my money on Heavy Rain. I thought it looked like a pretty good game, too, but I was so disappointed. So I got my copy of Heavy Rain somewhere, just, collecting dust, because it's a pile of crap that keeps freezing all the time. Number 93 is Tomb Raider. This was the reboot version with the more, I don't know, the more realistic-looking Lara Croft, I guess, and she's all, like, sensitive and all that. The only thing I liked about this was I never really played this one. I'm not crazy about the Tomb Raider series, but I remember this being played by I think it was Conan, Conan O'Brien, and he did the whole thing with the Clueless Gamer and all that on his TV show, and I thought that was really, really funny. A few years ago he did that. That was hilarious. That's actually my favorite Clueless Gamer. He's playing as Lara Croft, and the comments that he was making and all that, it was just absolutely hilarious. But I'm not crazy about the Tomb Raider franchise. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not wild about it because it's like, like, I don't care. I just don't care. Number 94 is The Walking Dead, Episode 3. Don't give a ish about The Walking Dead. Like, I don't care about The Walking Dead. I don't care about it. I don't care about the TV show. Like, whatever. Whatever. If I want a zombie experience, give me Dead Rising 2. Give me Resident Evil. You know what I'm saying? Alright, number 95 is MLB 13 The Show. Another MLB game. Yeah, let's keep moving forward. Number 96 is Hotline Miami. This is one of those, like, quirky cult games that you could find on the PSN. This is one of those, like, top-down shooter type of games, shoot-em-ups, with the whole 80s vibe, the synthwave thing. The 80s revival coming in. Never got into it, but I did hear a lot of good things. One of these days, I'm sure I'll probably buy it one day on the PSN. I just, it's not my favorite genre. The whole top-down thing, aside from the 80s motif and the 80s, like, synthwave kind of thing going on, which is kind of cool because I like Vice City. That's why I like Vice City so much, was because of the new wave music and stuff, and the 80s nostalgia. But with Hotline Miami, it's a top-down thing, and I just don't care about that style. Number 97 is Blazblue Continuum. Oh, God, this is the other Blazblue game I was talking about. Continuum Shift. So I think Calamity Trigger was the first one, and then Continuum Shift is the second one, I think. And I had both of these games at one point on the PlayStation 3, but I'm not impressed by it. The fact that both games were included in the top 100, but they didn't include Tekken Tag Tournament 2. They didn't include Street Fighter Cross Tekken. They didn't even include any of the Soul Calibur games, or even Mortal Kombat from 2011. Like, that's ridiculous. And these stupid Blazblue games are here. These are the most generic fighting games on the PS3. They're very generic. They're not that fun. And I think the only reason why they rank so high is because there's so much hype behind it, and it's like this weird hipster thing where they have to rank every one of these stupid video games that are kind of like unknown. They have sort of a small cult following, and they get ranked really, really high. And because the gameplay is so generic and it's so easy compared to like a Tekken, where you have to master characters in the Tekken franchise, But the Blazblue series is so easy to pick up and play, and it doesn't take any challenge to do it. They get ranked really, really high because it's like, oh, whatever, like anybody can play it. So you got these casuals like really ranking it really high, but Blazblue is, I'm starting to get pissed off. Like, I think Blazblue is one of the more overrated fighting game series, to be honest with you. So, screw Blazblue. I'm tired of Blazblue. Enough. Number 98 is Colin McRae Dirt 2. So another one in the Dirt series. I wish I got a chance to play it. I wish I got a chance to get into these Dirt titles, but I'm kind of afraid too, because like the Dirt series is it doesn't look like a street racing series. It looks like one of those games. If it's called Dirt 2, then it's like a game where you have to ride around more almost like an ATV kind of thing, ATV versus MX or whatever, where you're riding around in more dirt-ridden areas. Kind of like MotorStorm, like the MotorStorm series, where it's got vehicles and cars and stuff, but instead of like a street racing environment where you're riding on roads and streets and cities, you're riding in a more dirt-ridden areas. somewhere in, like in the boonies or whatever, like in places which more like dirt-ridden motocross type environments with a lot of dirts and hills and stuff. Number 99 is Dragon Age Origins. I got this one on the 360. I never really got too far with it. Like, from what I experienced, it was alright. It's a pretty good game, but I never got really in-depth with it, so it's one of those RPG titles that I just kind of forgot about after a while. Number 100 is Bionic Commando Rearmed. I like the other Bionic Commando, the 3D version. This one is the 2D remake or whatever of the old school like 2D Bionic Commando games. So I never really got into those 2D ones, but I did enjoy the 3D copy. The guy with the long hair and all that. I thought that was a very, very good, pretty damn strong 3D version. So that's it. That's the top 100 PlayStation 3 games. As you can tell, there's a lot of games that they missed out on. There's a lot of titles that I didn't even agree being on the list, and there's a lot of games that in my top 30 list on the PlayStation 3 was simply not included here. And obviously that's quite a disappointment. I'm going to take a look at the stuff that I have on the PS3. What did I include? Oh yeah. Well, you guys can check out the video, because I already made a top 30 list, and I don't want to, include... they did not include any of the Prince of Persia games on here. No Unreal Tournament 3. They didn't have, Infamous. Infamous was another really good, exclusive. They didn't have any of the Saints Row games, especially Saints Row 2, which I thought was tremendous. They didn't include, Dead Rising 2, another awesome, first, single player zombie type of game. Mortal Kombat from 2011, and then the complete edition from 2012 and all that. Mortal Kombat 9, basically, one of the better fighting games on the PlayStation 3 easily. Bayonetta was another good one. Bayonetta didn't even include it, even though it's very reminiscent of a God of War or a Devil May Cry or whatever. Bayonetta didn't even get a mention. But you have Blazblue and Dirt 2 and God, 4 or 5 different versions of MLB, 4 or 5 different versions of NBA 2K, and then 3 or 4 different installments of The Walking Dead episodes. What the hell? God, these stupid lists. I can't stand it. No wonder the stupid list has a ranking of it's got a 26% out of 100. So the average score of the people that gave it a score out of 100 is 26%, which is a very low score. A lot of people just did not agree with most of this list, and I can see why. They didn't even include Rainbow Six Vegas 2, which is one of the best FPS games ever on the PlayStation 3, of all time, of any genre. You know what I'm saying? It's just ridiculous. So anyway, I got my own list. You guys check out my top 30 PlayStation 3 games in another video on the channel. That's it for this episode of the Review Space. I thought this list was very, very disappointing, but I'm not surprised because it's a ListChallenges.com. They tend to use the Metacritic rankings, which I don't necessarily agree with. A lot of them are just based on hype and marketing and how the mainstream reviewers and the critics gave it a really overhyped score. Some of them I agree with. Some of the games on here I liked, but not that high and not above other titles. It's plain to see that they're so biased with some of the other franchises. Multiple installments of The Walking Dead, multiple installments of NBA 2K and MLB and FIFA. You know what I'm saying? But they exclude some of the other games, and it's just this list. So I'm not particularly impressed with ListChallenges.com so far, and and the fact that it's got over 100,000 views is just ridiculous. I can understand so many people wanted to see a top 100 list, but for them for it to be this disappointing is just it's a letdown. It sucks. You know what I'm saying? They don't have enough games on here that's killer apps or amazing games that are really worthy titles. There's a few really good ones that I agree with, but for the most part, it's just repetitive, another NBA 2K and The Walking Dead and another installment of EA FIFA, and you know, it's like the same franchises again and again and again, and not everybody's gonna be into that. Not everybody's into, you know, 2K, NBA 2K and NHL and all this crap, man. I mean, come on. You know, you're missing out on really amazing games, and you know. Right, so that's it. Thank you guys for watching this episode of the Review Space. For more videos, check out the channel. I got my own lists. I got my own points of view and podcasts and all that regarding video games and music and pro wrestling. So thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, peace.